Welcome back to the Home and Life Design Summit, Season 3, where we are meeting with awakened leaders and beautiful mystics and priestesses to talk about embodying art and beauty to create more joy. I am your host, Fallon Jordan, and I am so honored and delighted to be with Aurora Farber. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you. I'm so delighted and honored and excited to see how our conversation unfolds.
I know. And I love saying your name. It's so fun. Like every time I see you on my schedule, I'm like, Aurora Farber. Like it just makes me, like you were saying, like kind of like want to dance, kind of a little bit, like all that feminine stuff. So I wanted to share a little bit about you before we dive in. Aurora is a women's transformational coach, intuitive guide, writer, speaker, sacred space ceremonialist, wayfinder, magical muse, and modern day priestess. Her mission is to help women get unstuck by reclaiming and igniting their feminine fire, which just, I mean, could you say anything more exciting to me? The heart light within that integrates life giving power, compassionate love, and intuitive wisdom. These three feminine flames are the key to creating a life of passion, pleasure, purpose on the journey of feminine leadership. Feeling it, loving it. So grateful that you're here.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm delighted to be here as well.
I am so excited. So I would love to know a little bit more about, when I invited you to come and we're talking about embodying beauty. What does that mean to you? And then how do you feel like you do embody beauty? And like, what's your journey with even the concept of beauty?
What a powerful question. And this month, I've really been thinking about beauty synchronistically because I've been working with an archetype of Aphrodite, Venus, the goddess of love. I've been wearing my hair in waves as though I'm emerging from the ocean. And for me, it's interesting because I'm half Filipino. And for me, beauty is such a part of the Filipino culture. To look and be in the world of beautiful things, of nature, of beautiful heart-centered people. And at the same time, growing up, I kind of felt like many women do, like this pressure to be beautiful on the outside without so much thinking about the inside, although of course I wanted that as well, but it seemed like there was a value in being beautiful on the outside. So I kind of had that place of, yes, desiring beauty. I'm also a Libra and a Taurus rising. So I'm double ruled by Venus. So it's definitely
Yeah.
for me. And I've always loved beauty. And as I've grown, I have discovered that beauty is much more than how someone looks or how something looks. Beauty for me is a portal to presence. When you
Mm.
see something beautiful, like a beautiful rose or a peacock feather or a beautiful design, or even if you walk into a hotel and it's just has this kind of resonance and you feel like you can relax because there's an order to it.
Mhm.
There's a order that is beyond thinking. There's a harmony in it.
Mhm.
That's what beauty is to me. So for me, even in tending my home or making a meal, as I'm embracing more of my Taurus rising aspect, I love my kids always say that, my plates are always really pretty because I like to stick like fresh herbs on it, drizzle some sauces, put it on a nice placemat, napkins, things like that. Because it just is a form of opening ourselves up to what is actually here. Like, even if we have a meal, it's not just about eating it for our nutrition, but we can harmonize with beauty and make it even more beautiful if that's in our joy. I'm not saying that there are nights when I just slap something on the plate, because there's certainly that's because I don't have space or time for presence. So
Yeah.
that's another part of beauty as I've been practicing beauty as a way for me to open into the present moment. It slows me down, and I find an inner attunement. I find more harmony in my own life.
That is amazing. And I love how you use those real life examples because we really have the opportunity to have beauty in the everyday life things that we have to do every day. And there's just so much that you bring to the table with your beauty. And I love, like you were talking about, like your hair and just like embracing the different things that are coming through for you. And so also on like the art piece, I mean, I was like picturing your plate and this like beautiful plate with all the different color foods and things like that. What are some ways that you really feel connected to art in your home, in your life, in your business?
Yeah, so, I grew up thinking that I'm not an artist. I wasn't born with that special gift.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until I was in my 40s that I took an art class, not because I thought I could become an artist, but because I wanted to learn to see more deeply. I wanted to be able to see shadow and contour and to translate what I could see with my eyes onto the paper to kind of deepen my experience of my ability to perceive and to see. And I took that art class and I made something and, it wasn't bad.
Love
And
that.
a little help from my teacher, and then I took another class, and then I started painting, and actually, for me, what I love to paint, again, there one of the things I wanted to kind of speak about was this idea, there's this phrase, "Beauty is in the eye of the beholder," right? There are these eyes that we have here on our faces, but there's also an inner eye, an internal eye, the eye even of our intuition or our knowing. And so for me, what I love to paint were my dreams because
Ooh.
that became a whole process of not just being in the moment, being present with the paints and the smells and the canvases, but also with my nocturnal life, my dream world. And often what I would paint would as I put it onto paper, I would understand it more deeply. In fact, my whole business was born from a dream that I had. And I ended up having these two characters, a male and a female, who were not in harmony. They came together and I ended up dialoguing first through writing. So writing to me is another way to bring beauty into the world through writing. But I also took that dialogue because in the end, the way that they became integrated was they decided to dance because they were so far apart. My masculine was like, I was actually afraid of my masculine in my dream. He was very cold and aloof, and my
Mhm.
feminine was just really happy and joyful, but she gave everything to everybody. Like she didn't have a sense of self. And my masculine, in my mind, was kind of self centered. And it was like, how can I integrate these two aspects? And in the dialogue and that creative art of writing, I they their voices came through and they wanted to dance the tango. And so I ended up painting this tango that sits behind my desk and it's called Feminine Fire because three-quarters of the painting is a woman and her dress is on fire and the man is holding her. And it's so much a part of, again, like this inner harmony that I'm talking about, that when you have a strong, stable structure like the masculine quality of yang, then the feminine quality of the yin can flow and it doesn't become stagnant and settled and dormant, but it can actually flow. And like this tango, that's how I feel when we're integrated in our own harmony, in our own inner masculine and feminine, that we can begin to like dance this beautiful tango dance.
That is amazing and so interesting, the whole dream thing. Like, I am totally painting my dreams. Like, that's a brilliant idea. I love that. And I'm sure there's a lot of people listening like, that's pretty genius. Cause I'm sure most people here we're doing dream work, we're healing subconscious stuff. But especially like when you have like something very clear and you can see like what's happening and you want to like play with it, I can like feel like the magic of what happens like when you do that in my hands. Like that's just like so amazing. I'm so grateful that you shared that. I think that's going to help a lot of people. I know it's definitely going to help me to start
Yeah.
doing.
So often when we see with our inner eye through our dream work or intuition, things come in and it's through this process of creation that we actually bring that into form. So whether it's through a painting or a meal or writing, or even often I'll ask spirit for guidance in my own life and I'll get a mudra, with my hands or a motion or a movement or a color. So there's so many ways in which I believe, because I love intuition, it's my life's work energy, that as Richard Rudd says, is that intuition is the way the universe speaks to us. And so when we can tune into this inner eye, we feel more held, we feel more supported. And through that, we become vessels of creativity, of abundance, of healing, of beauty in the world.
I love that. And I want to honor what you said and kind of take a moment for people to absorb this because I've been hearing this a lot the past week, kind of just in the collective of just allowing yourself to be held and like that being a key. So thank you so much for saying that. And I'm definitely wanting everyone to allow themselves to be held in whatever facet that looks like for you. I definitely think being in Aurora's beautiful world is a good place to be held for sure. So I really appreciate you saying that.
Yes, I love that. And that's something that is really present in my own awareness as well. For the past year and a half or so, um, just this whole idea of being at home in our body and designing our life so that our body is the central pillar of our lives. You know, how many women do you know that don't think about their bodies? I know I was one of them, and I still can find myself just neglecting my sleep or forgetting to, or not wanting to work out, exercise, do the things that I know will make me feel better, be able to show up better. And before it was definitely a struggle, and I didn't hardly do anything. I was so much into my creative mind and wanting to create. That's kind of the shadow of another archetype, the muse, like always wanting to create
Yeah.
and forgetting that this body here is actually the vessel through which
Yeah.
I create. And so this past year and a half has really been about coming home to myself, coming home to this body and honoring this body. Um, yeah, just really honoring that concept of home and knowing, and I feel that through the pandemic when so many of us had a lot of fear, or we didn't know what to expect, or we didn't know when the world was going to open up. There was just so much that was either expressed or repressed. And like I feel like there is a real call for support, of healing, of taking time in. And
Absolutely. I love what you said, taking time in and then like coming home to yourself. Like that's like
yes, yes,
brilliant. So important.
yeah.
I love that. So tactically, when you come home, I don't know if like just doing errands or work or whatever, I just picture this like really beautiful sacred space. So I'd love to hear just when you actually get home, like how you feel and like what your connection is like to that version of yourself that gets to be in this space.
Yeah, well, I'm very fortunate in that recently, in the last couple of years, we actually were able to build our new home and design it as well. And so I never knew what that was like, to live in a structure that was filled with such conscious intention. Not just because we were part of the design, but I honestly did not know how to design a house. And what I always do is I relied on my intuition, and I relied on the ancient art of feng shui and the bagua, the nine gridded map. For anyone who doesn't know what bagua is, it's nine grids, and there's different kinds of feng shui. So I don't practice classical feng shui, which is much more technical, but mine is more the Tibetan feng shui. I had to work with what I had. you
Yeah.
know? And I just mapped out, the love and relationships is where my master bedroom is, the creativity and children is where the kitchen is, the dining room is where the family and ancestors are. All of these things were really consciously created. And so when I walk into my home, I feel really blessed. And we actually call it a temple. And we have at the center of our home an altar. It's in the very heart, in the bagua. There's the center grid, and that's the center of the home aspect of it. So that's an altar that I always have, and I put prayers on that for my family or friends or women that I'm leading. I have many altars through my home.
I love that.
So yeah, I really love coming home to this space, and I feel really blessed to have been able to, not only build it, but to have this experience of, again, there's so much about trust, like intuition for me helps to build trust. And it was a big risk, like, okay, I'm going to build this house based on these things. This might be a weird house. And I actually had a shadowy moment. And I was like, oh my gosh, did we build the weirdest house? When it was like going up. And then, I reclaimed it and I said, no, this is the house that I really want to live in. So for me, it does feel really sacred, and it feels, the sacred can be brought in at any moment. So it doesn't mean that you have to have a house built this way. You can even take a corner. You can use this bagua map in a room, in your bedroom, and you can, in that top left corner, the wealth corner, you can place different colors, different totems, different plants, a jade plant, just because it's the intention of what it is that you are tending to in your life. And that's what I love so much about um, this bagua. I actually created a course last year called Vision Map, where the
Mm.
journey was to go through the guas in our inner eye and to receive a gift and a symbol. And at the very end, to claim something that we were working with for that season. And so it was very interesting because as the year unfolded, all those aspects began to like light up and pop out. I was like, oh wow, that's so amazing. And my declaration was, I am home. And so this theme of home keeps coming back to me. And it came to me first from walking through my life, through my inner eye, and receiving something, and then consciously just I have a little altar for that on my bookcase of my vision map. And it's not that I work with it every day, but I'll look at something and go, oh, that's was on there. Look at that. Or I'll look for those things out in the world to see how they inform me. And it just makes life, like designing your life from not so much from your mind, but from your heart, from your intuition, from your gut. It's such a beautiful adventure to go on. So yeah, and I feel that having this space has really brought so much more harmony into my own life, because it is so tended with love. And of course, like everyone, there are times when things are a mess, and I'm still kind of moving into some spaces in my home. And so, that's one thing I want to share with everyone, is that when you come into harmony, it doesn't mean that everything has to be perfect. It's like, even can you be in harmony even when things are messy, either in your environment or in the world, like when you hear things on the news? This is actually a gene key, and it's my life's work. My vocational gene key is gene key 50, and it's called cosmic order. And the shadow of this, the gene keys, is a work by Richard Rudd, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know it. And you can get your own hologenetic profile that really helps you to see, like, for me, harmony is really important. I'm a Libra also, so it's very important to me. And really claiming that um, has helped me be more of who I am. And in this gene key around corruption, it's the shadow is corruption, and corruption that moves to harmony via the pathway of equilibrium. And so corruption is really this kind of virus, that this wound that we're incarnated with, this kind of these thought forms of, and we have different ones: I am not enough, I am not lovable, I am not safe, whatever those things are that are wound around us, but that also are the seed of the gift of equilibrium. And so, equilibrium, my favorite definition that Richard Rudd talks about, is the ability to see from a higher ground, but rest in the middle. And so, when life is turbulent, whether it's in your home or your kids are making a mess, or, it's just the world is very turbulent these days, it's like, can you zoom out and see from a higher ground, and from that space still rest in the middle? It's a practice to be in harmony. It's not a state of being that we are grasping for. Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah. I love that so much because I mean, even saying the word corruption, right? People are like, don't like that word, but it's like, it's part of our reality. And I'm so grateful that you doing the work that you do, that that is something that you're working through, because that is, like you said, it can be a gift. And that's why the Gene Keys is so special, is because it has, you know, the areas where you have those innate strengths and those places where you have those innate vulnerabilities, and you're that beautiful canvas, right? Like you're that beautiful canvas, and you can make things however you want to create your ideal harmony. And I'm
Yeah,
grateful.
you can even work with, that word corruption. When I saw that was my vocation and the Gene Keys, I was like, oh, that sounds horrible. But what
Yeah.
I've come to understand is, often this even comes from our karmic legacy. So the wounds of our ancestors passed down. Like I'm so grateful for my ancestors behind me and before me. And one of the practices I do is to ask, like, how can I be a healing for both my past ancestors and the ones before me? And I feel that each of us can be a healing through looking at our own corrupted stories and holding them, embracing them, loving them. If you feel like you're not enough, like embrace that, probably an inner child in you that somehow was given that message. Or if you feel that you haven't achieved what you wanted to, and that you're too old, or you're too this, or you're not enough of that, there's always this story of scarcity, right, of not being enough to fit the bill, right? But to just embrace that, and to again, like, come into to harmony. There's this quote from Richard Rudd, and I'd love to read that. He says that everything that happens to us is for our higher benefit. We're here to learn to live with equanimity. Even shock has the capacity to lift us with grace to another level of consciousness. As our equanimity, our equilibrium become truly stable, we become unshakable. We become truly peaceful. Our life opens up to a higher reality, a harmony that lies hidden from view, but that's communicated continuously to us from every cell within our DNA. As this harmony expands inside of us, we begin to function through our higher bodies. So that's the poet Richard Rudd and his deep wisdom that for me really speaks to this, my love of astrology and the Gene Keys and all the systems that are perhaps hidden from view, but that hold us in the truth of who we are. And each of us is uniquely different with our own design, our own gifts. And each of us have these shocks or these traumas in our lives, but they all contain this gift. And to me, that's beauty. In the Gene Keys, there's this, you can click on it and there's a part that says the I Ching. And I love the I Ching words because it's like, oh, and they're usually connected to other Gene Keys as well. So even if you don't have this one in your profile, you might have the others. And so I'm just going to read these and just kind of feel like this pathway, okay, from corruption to harmony via equilibrium. So corruption is desiring unease.
Mm,
Harmony is rapturous clarity. And equilibrium is light intuition. And again, that phrase, that intuition, is the way the universe speaks to us, and that the way in which we can hold it lightly to live our lives, seeing with this inner eye, not just with our outer eye, but both together. Like, how can we hold that lightly and maintain this sense of harmony inside of us, even when there is so much unease out in the world?
yeah. So when you read both of those, like I've been feeling this, like I feel like someone's pushing me on my right temple.
Mhm.
This like a pulsing.
Interesting. What do you think that means?
I'm just assuming it's something like masculine, pay attention, see this. Maybe I'm processing something that I wasn't supposed to see or something.
Interesting. Yeah, it is near your eye.
My painting I'm gonna do of my dreams last night, I think.
I love it. I'm so glad you're inspired to paint. And
Oh
again,
yeah.
when yeah, anyone who paints, it's not like it has to be an art, an artwork in a museum. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be simply beautiful. Like, it's beautiful because it's a reflection of your inner world if you paint your dreams.
Yeah, I love that you said that because I have like a going list of the things that I want for my home that I build. And one of them is I want a paint room and you just like paint whatever you need to. And then if you need to like paint over it later, you can. And
Oh,
like just you saying what you said is just really big because my dreams, especially last night, were very big, very vivid. And like I have to put them down. And like I
mm,
want them to be things that I can reference later. But some of the dreams I'm sure you don't want to reference.
shadow dancing.
Shadow dancing. I'm gonna like have to start doing that. Like I joke with my friends and people that listen to me sometimes. Like I have like little ticks sometimes. Mostly it's like quoting funny movies or something. But now I'm gonna do the shadow dance. Something needs to move. Like shadow dance. Aurora said so. Because I feel it. Like I mean, the pulsing is gone. Like I feel more open. Like I'm obsessed. So I'm so grateful that you listened to your intuition and the universe for whenever you decide you got that download and shared it because that's really amazing.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I have some other tips for attuning to the areas of your life if you'd like to hear
Please.
them.
I would
So
love
I always like to like work with the number three, magic three. Like, what's three things that people can take away from this conversation? And yeah, so first, before I even share this, I just want to attune to anyone who's listening and just take a breath. Invite everyone to take a breath and just feel like the inner harmony, the release that comes with the exhale, and the intentional inhale to fill yourself up, to open up the cells of your body, the inner eye. And even in this moment, like to notice if there's any unease in your body at all and where it might be. And if you notice that space, maybe put a hand and just gently embrace it. You don't have to know what it is. And just if you want to play with me, just ask and tune in with the heart of gratitude that the universe is wanting to communicate something to you. And it, wherever that place is in your body, or if there's not a body sensation, maybe just tune into your heart and just ask for a sign, a symbol, a color, a frequency, a knowing, a feeling, a song, perhaps, of something that might be helpful for you to be in the highest good, the highest purpose that you are here to be. And so just play with that. And if nothing comes in this moment, this is, you can re-listen to this again and just play. I always encourage people not to take intuition so seriously, but to play with it, not to feel like they're grasping for anything. And so with that attunement to our heart, because for me, that's how I always begin working with intuition, whether I'm doing an oracle or sitting with, a client or holding group space. I always attune to my heart because the heart frequency is so big. And even through the computer, you can transmit this energy. So attune first to your heart is one thing that I'd love to just have as a beginning practice. And as you tune into the different areas of your life, for example, one way I feel that you can really harmonize your life is to know how you're designed. Know either, work with different systems, like you can work with astrology or human design. My personal favorite is the gene keys, to know which of the shadows I hold and also which of the gifts that I have, because these are the gifts to share. And in the Gene Keys process, you first know your prime gifts in the activation sequence. Then you open your heart through the Venus sequence. And then you come to the prosperity sequence, the Pearl sequence. And I just love that model of prosperity that begins with knowing who we are and the gifts we hold, and then opening and unshielding our heart. And from there, the pearl opens, the oyster opens, and prosperity comes in. So that's one thing I think would be wonderful if anyone who's listening attunes to their unique design through some system that really calls to you. The second one is how to attune to your body. So one of my favorite ways is working with the moon cycle, because the moon is a reflection of our feminine rhythm. We live in a very solar world that is focused on 24/7, 365 days a year. Like, what can you do? What can you produce? What structure is going to get this thing done? And we as women are not attuned to that rhythm. We're attuned to the moon, reflected in our menstrual cycle, reflected in our ability to change, to be yeah, agents of change. And so I invite you or anyone listening to attune to the moon, like begin to pay attention to it and really claim as your birthright to expand and contract, to wax and wane. This is something for me I really had to work on because I was just waxing on to full moon all the time until I burnt out and said, oh, yeah, I need to rest. And so we really reclaim the gift of waning. That's the part that I feel many women need to claim, and rest and recreation and pleasure, all the things that come at the end of the moon cycle. So that's one way that you can like attune your body with the energy of the moon. You can also sing. A simple practice is just even doing do re mi fa sol la ti do ti la so fa mi re do, and
That is
think of your chakras.
pretty.
Thank you. I had my throat chakra and my jaw worked on today, so um, maybe that's why.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so but that's one way that you can, even by do re, starting at the first chakra and then going up and then going down, like a tuning. It's a very simple thing. And if you want to have fun, like if you want to tune to the frequency of joy and delight, you can do do, a deer, a female deer, re, a
Ooh, I love that.
you can just have fun with it, right?
Yeah.
Feel like I can see your face, Fallon, like you're just lit up, right, with this energy of joy, of being a child. So anything I feel that we can do to like reclaim our innocence, our the divine child within, I think is beautiful. So those are two simple practices that you can come into harmony with. And then finally, with your home, we've gone over your life, know your design, your body, attuned to the moon, attuned to, the chakras through singing, and to your home. So tend your home with care, even making an act of doing the dishes or doing the laundry, which can be so boring. I'm not saying you have to do this all the time, but just come into this knowing of like, oh, okay, how can I tend this with gratitude? I have enough to eat. I have clothes to wear, right? And expand it. I have this beautiful meal. I can embellish this. I have these beautiful children that their face is lighting up. Oh, and they have friends that are enjoying this. Like this beauty, this harmony can expand, but it has to start within. So any ways that you can tend your home through the mundane chores, but also through creating altars is one of my favorite ways to really ignite that feminine fire inside, is to tend the altar that you have, like clean it off, dust it off, refresh it, put new flowers on it. You can create different kinds of altars. You can create a prosperity altar, an ancestor altar, an altar for a program that you're going to offer, or a course, or a book that you're going to write, or an altar for your marriage or your relationship. Like, and it doesn't have to be fancy. It can be as simple as a candle. The one of my mentors, Ariel Spilsbury, said this thing that always really landed with me. She said, lighting the candle is what makes the temple sacred. So it's not about how it looks and the adornment. I mean, you can do all that. If that's in your joy, if that ignites your heart flame, do it. But it's the lighting of the candle, because as you light that candle, you ignite this candle, this light inside your own heart. And even if you can't create an altar, a simple practice is to, with your breath, to imagine that as you breathe in, you're igniting that heart flame that can expand. And as you breathe out, you're offering harmony or beauty or peace, whatever that blessing is that comes from your heart of gratitude. So those are 3 tips to kind of help, bring more harmony to your home. And I believe that anyone who's listening, as they do these practical things that can be in our daily lives, right, that it will help to heal those corrupted scripts
Mhm.
of scarcity or not enoughness that are in our lives, because we then become a vessel and co-create with the universe that is always holding and loving us.
Absolutely. Those were like amazing insights. And I just started speaking and I have like an intense ringing in my left ear. And I was trying not to laugh for a while when I first tapped in because I was like throat and heart was where I felt called to like focus at the very beginning of the attunement exercise. And the song that I like immediately heard a song and it was "You Can Get It If You Really Want." Probably that like playful thing that you're picking up on. I'm like, I have to listen to this song and dance to it now.
Wonderful, wonderful. I love that. I really, it's like you're attuning your body. You must be very clairsentient because you're definitely feeling this in your body.
Well, thank you for giving your energy and offering for me to receive that beautiful transmission. Like literally, like I've been holding here so much, like because it's like in between the heart and throat, and I'm like, I need both of this stuff to get healed. So thank you so much for all those amazing insights. Like if you need to go back, I would rewind a little bit, get your journal, take notes of what Aurora shared as some of these tips because they really can completely transform your life. And I definitely want to make sure everyone knows about your free gift and what that specifically is. And then they can get in your world and learn literally all the things.
Wonderful. Well, I extend a heartfelt welcome to anyone who's called to come into my world. I always feel like it's a gene key saying that, when we meet and there's a resonance, there's a harmony, that we're part of the same fractal family. So if you're part of my family, I really welcome you in. And if you think you might be, I welcome you in. Yeah, so you'll know, right? And so my gift is actually a opt-in to get your hologenetic profile, plus a video on how to playfully work with the gene keys. So it's like a short video training. Yeah, so that's so that'll be the first step of know your design. And for anyone who gets that, you'll get from the gene keys is this is actually in my opt-in, it's my affiliate link because I'm a gene keys guide. So you can also go to the gene keys and get your whole genetic profile, but if you go there you won't get my video.
Yeah,
So,
I need that and I want that.
yeah, but if you're called to do that, you're welcome to do that. If the gene keys resonates with you, I just think it's a wonderful thing.
That's why I
Yeah,
wanted to feel
yeah.
so super
So what
grateful. Such a generous offer. Everybody click below, make sure you get that. The gene keys can, I mean, I am, let me think. I think I'm 9 or 10 people I've done it with. 100% every single person has cried because they felt so validated. This is why I feel pulled in this direction. This is why I've had, this issue. This is why I've had this blessing, this miracle, all of these things. So it's really, really powerful. So I am so grateful that you've done a deep dive because we definitely need more people to really understand this work. But definitely you by, clicking below, getting the link, getting the video. I mean, this is really when you start to really get to know yourself, and it's so beautiful. And I cannot wait to watch the video for myself because I know I'm going to love it.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, let me know what you think. And, when you get your profile, you'll get a description of your four main gifts. And so just from that, something might light up. And then if you feel called to work with someone who can kind of help you, guide you through it, I also offer that service. And I'll probably put, like some kind of discount or something on that page as well, if that would be of interest to anyone to do
Yeah.
that. Yeah, just to because that's the beauty of it, and, trust your own intuition as it, how does what you read harmonize or not, with you?
100%.
Mm.
Oh, I'm so grateful for you, Aurora. Thank you so much for being here with us and sharing the most incredibly helpful, wonderful information. I can't wait to dive deeper. I know everyone listening is excited as well. And just thank you so much for doing the work that you do and being such a blessing.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been my pleasure to be here, and may we all, like, come into inner harmony so that we can breathe out and be an expression and a catalyst for harmony for our world.
Absolutely. Well, sending you so much love. So grateful for you. So grateful for everyone who's watching and listening. And I will see everybody else in the next conversation. Bye for now.